Welcome, everybody, to Battle of the Bible Boys Season 4 End of Season Recap. And I'm starting off my night fantastic, even though really, everyone's disappointed except for Haley, if you really think about it. So it's not just me. But I am probably the least disappointed loser of everybody tonight, because my wonderful girlfriend just brought me Subway cookies.
I just wanted to use my season as an illustration of the fact that His grace is sufficient for us Bible boys, and I am not saved by my own works or fantasy football skill.
Yeah, Haley.
Yeah, so don't be so prideful.
That's right. That's right. Man, we're such great Christians. Thank you, everyone, for participating this season. It was fun. I know this was a strange format, and I promise next year I'm not going to try to please anybody, because no one was happy, not even me. I think this was just another year of fantasy football that taught us a lot about how little it really matters what you know.
It's true. Like we said, I think at the beginning, check back after the season for more accurate predictions. And here we are.
Yeah. So I think without further ado, we'll go ahead and we'll get into what we thought were the rankings at the beginning and what ended up actually happening. So right here we have Brian's, Isaac's, and myself's predictions for the season. In first place, we had Queen of the Boys. Congratulations, Haley. You have won 2 years in a row. Patrick Mahomes and crew, who's honestly the best player in the game, delivering you a fair victory. Here's the team.
Season, we've said the heart wants what it wants, and in this case, the heart has paid off handsomely.
Yeah, your heart wants the best player in football, and I think it's really worked out for you. Good.
Shout out to anyone drafting ahead of Haley next year. If we want to see someone else at the top of the leaderboard, you should probably take Patrick Mahomes with your number one pick.
Yep. Haley, I think just got to warn you, it's unlikely, unless you get put at the top of the draft board again, that he'll make it to you this year. I know it'll be, for whoever takes Patrick Mahomes from Haley, they're going to have to deal with that, the anger and the guilt. But man,
it's only safe because she's in another state.
I mean, she might come find us.
If your tires are slashed, you know who did it.
So Patrick Mahomes obviously leading the team, and I mean, this isn't, in my opinion, like an all-star arsenal, but due to the format this year, just good players were coming in. They only had to flash when they needed to flash, and Haley won. It was a good team overall. Pacheco came in towards the second half of the season, doing a lot better. Jamal Williams had a ton of touchdowns throughout the year without needing that much work. Well, 24 rushing attempts is pretty good.
Yeah,
and Mike Evans with the highest points of the season on the final game when it mattered most.
Quite timely. Now, as we were talking about, as you noted, not an all-star roster, as we were talking about before the show, all the teams were a lot of the teams were very equal across the board. You know, preparing for this show, every team had its areas of strengths and its areas of weaknesses, and it did come down to who played well win, as you know, with Mike Evans coming through. Some luck too, as you saw Jamal Williams, probably not who Haley was counting on, but some running backs who finished behind Jamal Williams at the end of the season included my guys, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift, who everyone would have taken over Jamal Williams at the beginning of the season. So you never know.
Did you drop him?
Drop
Swift?
No, that was on Kaylee's team.
Oh, on Kaylee's team. Okay, at least you're opening up that it was actually secretly your team.
Gasp.
Yeah. I was gonna go through. We don't have to go in order though. Like, Kaylee had the second highest points total scored on the year. So really got to give a little more props to Brian. Brian and Kaylee, with the two highest points total on the year, finished bottom six.
There was no justice
No justice
this season.
So that let that be proof. It's only about when your players play well. It's not about if they play well. Because that is not justice.
Yeah, if you look at the week by week breakdown, right? Not only did Kaylee and Brian both have some of the top scoring weeks where they're getting 200 points, but the games they lost were all like 160 to the random week. Steven's team scores 165, right? Kaylee lost to me. The random week I scored 145 or 141, and she scored 140, right? So,
yeah,
a lot of bad luck.
Honestly. But no one's gonna care how much bad luck you had. People only care if you won or lost as the years go on. So none of us have victim mentalities tonight, folks. Let's honor the fallen and prepare for next year.
And if Ecclesiastes taught us anything about fantasy football, it is that everything is meaningless.
That's right.
Vanity
Everything
upon vanity.
Especially fantasy football. So, Haley, good job. None of us predicted that you were going to be the winner. Who was closest? Who had the highest take on Haley's team?
I had her down at
goodness.
8. You had
her down at 9. Brian was the highest. 7. Brian didn't even believe in you that much. He thought you were 7. Shows what we know. Honestly, that just makes it more funny. I think next year we should continue on with even more arrogance in thinking we know who's going to be good. But let's go to my team. I did place second, and that's not something to really brag about because I am quite middle of the pack to lower half in terms of my points scored. My points against are also kind of middle of the pack, so I honestly just had good playoffs. Good playoff performances until Haley's team got me. This team, here's the thing. I think I had like 100 waiver transactions. So maybe to really check this out, we need to go to week 1. Oh, you know what? We should look at the draft board. That would be that'd be the way to really check out the teams. There we are. So, real quick with Haley, she went Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Evans, Waller. Yeah, I think mainly Mahomes and Hill were great picks that carried her through the season, and then a lot of people kind of popped up throughout. And then for me, I should have chosen Christian McCaffrey. Dang it.
The one year you didn't.
But Stephon Diggs was a good pick. I traded for Keenan Allen throughout the midseason. I think that paid off well. I think I had a lot of injuries. In fact, right here, Cortland Sutton, Marquise Brown, Kyler Murray, Rashad Bateman, Trey Lance.
Yep.
All off my team at a certain point in the season. So that was sad.
We could do that depressing segment about quarterbacks who finished ahead of Kyler Murray. And then I didn't know if you wanted to go into your favorite trade.
Oh, of course. For all the people that wanted trades, thank you so much for demanding that and kind of destroying the format. There were 2 trades that were made all season. One was between me and John. And the other one was we had a blockbuster trade, and I think the story is kind of funny. I was at a My Chemical Romance concert with my dad, and I had 2 cans of beer, so I was just partying it up with all the emos. And I thought, man, it just wouldn't be a fantasy football season if I didn't make a trade with Isaac. And I was like, give me Russell Wilson when he was performing terribly. Isaac, what do you think was the outcome of this trade?
I loved it. Now, one of my big mistakes, I think none of my draft picks really worked out. But leaping for Russell Wilson in the 5th round was not great. And when you texted me, I thought, no, I've bought in. I was looking forward to watching him with the Broncos. You talked about the part of the season he wasn't doing well, which was everything but this week, right? But that was still early on where there was still a shot. Maybe it was fluky. He's with a new team. He figures it out in game 5. So I was hesitant. So the only reason I kept these trade talks alive, because the original pitch was Jared Goff for Russell Wilson, which I thought, no, who do you take me for? Well, not exactly that, but then I needed a running back, and Dameon Pierce had just gotten a good workload the last week, so took a shot that wasn't a flash in the pan. You decided to throw in Brandon Cooks in there to even out the deal. Worked out swell for me for a little while. Dameon Pierce did a disappearing act in the second half of the season, but for a while I thought it might be the key. And of course it did no favors whatsoever.
I think the real surprise was Brandon Cooks having drama with the coach and getting benched, or he would just not show up to practice and he couldn't play. So I don't know. Definitely it was unexpected because Goff didn't do you any good either. But
no, he had 2 great weeks, I think.
Yeah, he had 2 great weeks, but the real highlight was you got Dameon Pierce for basically nothing.
Yep.
So, well done on Isaac's part. And then
no, don't drink and trade.
Don't drink and trade.
Story.
Yeah. So the only reason my season stayed alive was because I did so many transactions. Otherwise, injuries really got me. Let's see, Brian thought I was going to win. I thought I was going to be second place. You thought I was going to be third. So we were all kind of right about me.
Yep.
All right. Fiddle Leaf Figgy. Okay. This was my official final review of Fiddle Leaf, but I originally put her 9, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Initially. You guys talked me into it. But you guys were closer, 6 and 7, but she ended up going third place. Heidi trusted the auto drafter this year and had great success.
It's true. Devontae Adams did not drop off too much being in Oakland.
No, he was great, honestly. He had some disappearing acts, but overall was really good.
Jamar Chase, right, I think dealt with some injuries, but had some strong parts of the season, not the dominance you expected. But I think the big surprise for Heidi that helped her so much was Josh Jacobs, who in many formats was the number 1 running back. Some guy who I would not have drafted. I
hated him. He messed me up for years.
Mm-hmm.
And he was number 1 all of a sudden.
Yep.
Wow. And Ramondre Stevenson,
too. Yeah. He did
way
great.
Down here, this guy, 10th round pick, became the bell cow for the Patriots, and they never do a bell cow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, well, when we broke this down, we talked about, I think, how the running backs would be her weakness. Because the wide receivers were stacked. A.J. Brown had his first season of being healthy all year long, and he was great.
He was great.
So her wide receivers were stacked, and then her running backs did solid. 2 fantastic, like Josh Jacobs. All right, having a good run. Hawkinson being a top 3 tight end.
He got traded to the Vikings. For those who don't know, he was on a really bad team, got traded to a great team, and became a top 3 tight end, basically. So, we all kind of scoffed a little bit, I think, at Fiddle Leaf Figgy. But I'm not going to say it was luck, because that really dismisses the fact that maybe there were some really good predictions on her auto drafter's part to just know who was going to go off.
True.
And surprisingly enough, Justin Herbert really didn't have a good year, but was fine.
What we thought would be strengths like Herbert were weaknesses, and the weaknesses were strengths, and who knows?
I think that's just a great metaphor for God.
Exactly. Strength made perfect in our weakness. There we go.
Exactly. Okay. Make better choices. Brian's team took fourth place. Let's see. Brian took himself as last. Very humble, Brian. Brian, good job. You had him at sixth place, and I had him at third place. So I was the closest on him. Brian maybe being a little too modest. But let's see what became of Make Better Choices, who was also auto-drafting. Well, Justin Jefferson was a great pick.
Yep.
I think he was the #1 receiver on the year.
I think...
It keeps saying
No.
NA, but whatever.
I have another screen up. Yeah, he was the #1.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, what do you think about Go Lions team?
I mean, I think, like you said, Jefferson was great. I mean, once again, I think his team is pretty representative of everyone's team in terms of a really mixed bag. Jefferson was great. Mixon was pretty good. Elliott, I don't think if the draft was happening, if Brian was at the wheel, I don't think he would have taken Elliott in the third round. But he did do better than I thought, certainly. Kyle Pitts, total waste of a pick there.
Oh,
Horrible season and then injured on top of it.
mm-hmm.
Moore and Metcalf were good, especially in this format when you could just let them pop up for their good weeks.
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre Hopkins did great.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and Hurts. I think those are the keys for him were Hurts and Jefferson, and then just kind of a solid mix across the board of players popping up at right times.
And we need to give Brian a lot of credit here. He auto-drafted Deshaun Watson, who is basically the Voldemort of the football world, and dropped him promptly upon realizing what the computer did. And in our final week, second to final week, it was Brian versus me. We both lost our starting quarterback. Jalen Hurts was out. Deshaun Watson was on the waiver wires, and Brian Smith did not pick up Deshaun Watson, who was by far the most highly rated option on the waiver wires. So Brian played honorably. Congratulations. My respect for him goes way up. Olave had some really good weeks too. Miles Sanders had some really good weeks. So got some good ones down here as well. But yeah. There was also, earlier in the season, there was talks between him and I of him trading me Joe Mixon and Ezekiel Elliott for Saquon Barkley. That was tempting. I think if I took the trade, I would have actually lost to him in the finals because Saquon Barkley had a really good week that week.
Yeah. Good season. Someone we were scared about with the injury risk and then stayed in it all year long.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This Isn't Hockey. Shania takes 5. Brian got it spot on. Isaac, you thought she was going to take second. So you were very high on her.
I did.
And I thought 7th. So Brian was right in the middle of the both of us. I'm sorry I doubted you, Shania. But her and her boyfriend love to do this thing. They've done it multiple years where they take a ton of quarterbacks, which was kind of my big turnoff.
And that was the catch in terms of a lot of the quarterbacks she took. You'd think you would get better results when you take 6 quarterbacks, but the run at the bottom, Winston, Jones, Mayfield, Wentz, those are kind of all wasted picks. Were right. Tom Brady finally kind of, not a total pumpkin, but not Tom Brady. Just a very sad man.
He
and
didn't
Dak
have any good
Prescott.
games until like the very last one, and these were only okay.
Yeah, Prescott was a roller coaster ride.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought between Brady and Prescott, she'd at least get great QB production every week. Connor had some great games when he was healthy, but he was inconsistent. And then, Najee Harris, not nearly as good as he was last year. CeeDee Lamb did great. One of the keys to why she did not do as well, of course, being that Cooper Kupp starting off the season dominant as always, and then
Mm-hmm.
injury strikes.
Oh my gosh. The dominance, man. But yeah, he got injured, which is really unfortunate. Because that would have been maybe a key to getting even higher place. And CD Lamb really came alive
Oh
at the
yeah.
end. So when she lost Cup, she kind of got CD in the game more.
Mm-hmm.
And James Conner had a good run too, I think. Yeah. So overall, unorthodox, and I kind of scoffed at it, but you did well. And a lot of these picks worked out for you. Christian Watson down here, super good games for a little while. Okay. Keep chugging along. Sixth place was Steven. I'm wearing the hat in honor of our Idaho friend. Let's see. I remember this. I think Brian was higher, but you and I both thought that Steven was going to take last place. So, Brian, good job for believing in Steven. Let's see. I believe Steven was auto drafted as well. And he
No,
took.
I don't. I
No?
think he was doing the draft because, as you can see, he took his strategy was running backs all day,
All of
every
them.
day. Took all the running backs, which is why we did not think he would do well because he didn't have anyone at other positions.
No.
But it kind of worked out in its own way. Scarce position, kind of got the corner of the market a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know some of these guys had some big weeks, these wide receivers.
Williams, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Njoku was a good one. He was pretty solid for a tight end, you know?
yeah. Now, showing that you can have some success in fantasy without a great quarterback, Derek Carr not having a good
Mm-hmm.
season, and Steven's only quarterback. You remember last year, I think Steven had Lamar Jackson and some other elite quarterback too. So he went the other way this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the running backs paid off more than the QBs did.
Because just so we're all on the same page, we're not counting Zach Wilson as a quarterback.
Nope. Not a real quarterback.
So well done, Steven. Made it into playoffs and showed us what for. Return of the King. Man, that's tough, man. We thought fourth place, and I thought first place. So we were all a little too high on you. Let's see what happened. You tell us. You experienced every excruciating week.
I did. Now, you can see it's just an unending run of tragedy. Really, you look at those picks, Dalvin Cook was okay. I think he finished number 9, but he's not what you were expecting, not what I was expecting when I took him in the
Some
first round.
real dud performances towards the back end when you needed him most.
Oh, yeah. Alvin Kamara had 1 or 2 great weeks, and then not, he was, like we said, Jamal Williams finished above both of my quarterbacks. My running backs. So that is not a good sign when they were supposed to be my strength. Right? Deebo Samuel was not the guy from last year. Not close. T. Higgins is okay.
He was honestly pretty solid for where you took him.
Pretty solid. But you look at my team overall, and there's not any one of those close to top 10. And of course, the Russell Wilson
We got to
disaster.
talk about the number 5 pick, man. You didn't
Number
just take
5,
Russell Wilson. You didn't want anybody to get him, so you really reached for him.
none. I went into the draft wanting one player, and that was Russell Wilson, and I got him. I was following the Haley strategy of the heart wants what it wants, and for the scriptural reference for my team would be the heart is deceitful above all ends. Uh, and my heart deceived me. It did not work out for him, for me, um, for you, right? He hurt
No.
many of us.
My heart wanted him too, man. I was so angry when you took him.
And I think
Oh,
a lot of us just wanted our local team to be watchable and like provide fun football games. And the Broncos and Wilson were gross. His passes just weren't even close half the time. So, yeah, not good. Very representative of my season. I look at that team, Judy being Jerry Judy. I look at that team and I don't like any of those players. It was not a fun team to root for. So by week 4, I was um, pretty down on those guys. Kirk was one of the
that was
best
a bright
picks.
spot.
It was, but I traded Christian Kirk for Tua right before his first concussion game. So,
Oh, wait, did you do a trade that I don't see here?
I did. I traded. I think it was just a straight up Christian Kirk for Tua. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe it's only showing ones I was involved with. So
I
if
think
if anybody else made a trade that I didn't highlight, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. I think it's not showing ones that I wasn't involved in. Anyway, Sleeper's also not good at showing neutral data. Okay, but you traded Kirk for Tua?
I did a couple weeks in, right before, and Tua came back and had some solid games for me, but it was still ending up with Kirk Cousins as my quarterback most of the time. So my team was the definition of mediocrity. So I was glad I did not get into the playoffs. There were teams finishing behind me who were much more deserving.
All right, let's keep it rolling. This is the ultimate tragedy. Our number 1 scoring team.
Yep.
Brian Kirchhoff, number 1, number 2 team. Brian Smith put you at number 2, Isaac at number 5, and me at number 6. And I was really scared that I was underestimating you, man. I'm sorry, because you didn't deserve this. You really didn't. You're the best of us. Let's look at these picks. I think Eckler was the number 2 running back on the year.
He was, yep.
So, great pick. Travis Kelce did not fall off. In fact, he became a lot better.
Yeah,
with
better
Tyreek
than
gone.
this season I had him. Not
So,
bitter.
Joe Burrow, some fantastic games in there. And if you didn't have a good game, you had 5 other quarterbacks helping you out, which, not too many good ones, but Trevor Lawrence really came alive later on in the year. Overall, players that some of them had a slow start and came in strong, and other ones started strong and ended low, and you had really bad luck with the people that were up against you.
Yep.
I'm trying to see the points against for you were the highest in the league. You were against over 19,000 points against. Ended with a 6-8 record and didn't make the playoffs. Not cool, man.
The sun shines on the good and the wicked.
Yeah.
As Ecclesiastes would say. So, like we said, no justice on these teams. Not calling your teams wicked, but
We're all wicked.
We're all wicked.
Jonathan guessed correctly by Brian and Isaac, and I had a little more hope. I was wrong by just a little bit, but I believed in you. Let's take a look. Jonathan was first up, and he was actively drafting, went with Josh Allen, number 1 overall, which turned out to be a good pick.
Yep.
Keenan Allen, you ended up trading me Keenan Allen later on in the season for 2 guys that weren't really relevant for that much longer. So I think that kind of hurt you. Sorry. But part of the tragedy is Javonte Williams out for the season very early.
I think one of the things you were able to see, both with the fact that we had deep benches and that we had some people like Steven who took a lot of running backs. If you had that big blow to a running back you were counting on, that was just hard to recover from this season. And so I think that certainly hit John. With Javonte Williams, could have surprised us more. He was really hanging tough and being pretty close in those matchups until the injury to Javonte. And then that's when his season seemed to kind of fall apart.
Mm-hmm. You have any more thoughts on this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think that yeah, you see that there was not good running back depth there. The fallbacks like Melvin Gordon and James Robinson. It was a team that was top heavy, and the top died. Besides Josh Allen, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Josh Allen was your highlight. And it's good because Matthew Stafford was complete bust.
Yep.
Juju turned out to be okay. Well, sometimes, not really. In this format, he turned out to be okay. But overall, yeah, I'm sorry. I think a lot of disappointing players on your team compared to what could have been. I think Johan Dotson he started great and he ended great. In the middle,
Yep.
Injured. Okay, and finally, wah, 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 wah. Third place, first place, and fourth place were our thoughts on Kaylee's Killers, and I think she might have almost got there if she had won one more game in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
But she was knocked out of playoffs and dragged to the bottom to be renamed by the Queen of the Boys next year. You want to start on this one?
I do. It was, I think, her team more than any emphasizes the fact that this is a Shakespearean tragic comedy at its finest, and that we talked about how everyone was closely bunched up until the leading up to the playoffs, and so she was on pace to be in the playoffs, and final week faced me, and I had my random good week. Beat her 141 to 140, knocked her out of the playoffs where she could have gone much farther. So I still feel justified in my ranking with her being second to our other tragic team, the number 1, number 2 team. I think it still should have been them at the top. Right? You look at that board, and there was still kind of a top-heavy team. Like once again, right? In terms of McCaffrey was great. Waddle had the ups and downs. And Ross St. Brown, when he was healthy, was really good. Finished as
he was a great
10.
pick.
He was a great pick, right? Finished as a top 10 wide receiver. Of course, I had no say in who she picked. I did not help her in any way, shape, or form.
None.
If you believe that, I have other things to pitch to you. But right, her team was more fun to to root for. Now we had a couple. The Ravens were kind of what killed her in some ways. In that Lamar Jackson, right, looked like he would be the one to carry her to the promised land. Scores 1,000 points in the first 3 weeks, and then it is just kind of gone or mediocre the rest of the way. Did not
Yeah.
finish as a top 10 quarterback, even with scoring so many points at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was even worse for Mark Andrews, right? Who looked like a good lock to be the number one tight end. And then he started great and disappeared and had an occasional week where he was okay. But lots of 3-point weeks from Mark Andrews, which was really surprising based on last year. Uh, so you had some depth pieces that still helped out. Tony Pollard was a top 10 um, running back. Once
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson disappeared, Justin Fields actually finished ahead of Lamar Jackson in terms of fantasy points. So horrible start to the season. Um, kind of mediocre end, but he was actually really good in the middle of the season. So a really promising team, right, that had so many good weeks that lost in close ways, but um, just kind of unlucky in that her team never seemed to work at the same time, right? Like St. Brown and Swift would be injured for a couple weeks when Andrews and Jackson were doing good. When Andrews and Jackson fell off, it just didn't. Her whole team was not performing up to par on a consistent basis. So, if a team would win the Miss It by that much award, I would give it to Kaylee. What are your thoughts, sir?
Yep, I agree. It's why this is a tragedy, a comedic tragedy. Um, McCaffrey was a great pick, and for those of you who don't know, I picked him first pick the last 2 years, and he was injured pretty much the entire season, and turned out to be. I don't know if he was number one this year or at least top three or something,
He
but
was top three. Yeah, it was Jacobs, Eckler, and then McCaffrey.
he was good. He was very good. So that was
Very
a
good.
great pick to start off. And yeah, you just had a lot of these spike weeks from certain players, but it didn't matter because she would get beat, especially in the mid-season. I think lost a lot of games in a row, and then explain how you beat her, and that put you both in the loser bracket before playoffs started. Because like
Yeah,
she was gonna make it into playoffs.
she was number 5. Going into the final week, I was number 9. Now everything was so closely bunched up, it was due to points. So, right, I think she was ahead of you, ahead of a couple other teams going into that final week uh, with a tied record, but more points. And then um, the two teams behind her, you and it might have been Steven Simmons, right, won their weeks, and she lost hers. And to me, who jumped over one team to become 7th and still miss it, because my record improved, but my numbers were very minimal points on the season.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the surprise, looking back on the board, right, taking Allen Robinson before Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Robinson being
Oh yeah, totally.
horrible.
Man, so there you have it. Breakdowns of the season. What else did I put on here on our agenda? So, yep, congrats to Haley, followed by me, and then Heidi. People wanted to trade. They wanted the ability to trade. So more trades happened than were shown tonight. Review draft, review teams. Okay, Isaac, I think we should be vulnerable with the people and share some of our conversation from when we had lunch the other day. I just think it's funny. Like, this is our 4th year doing this, and this is my first year placing in the top 4, I think. I've been listening to a podcast about fantasy football basically every week, it's entertaining. It's really fun to keep up with it. I compare it to when women watch The Bachelor or something, and you just keep up with the drama, and it's fun. It really is fun. It's similar to doing trading cards. You have your team, you like your guys. But obviously we can look at Brian and Kaylee's team and discern that this is not a game that always rewards skill, quote unquote skill. Because like I would consider myself a skilled player, and yet it just didn't matter. It just hasn't mattered. Um, this is a game about luck. You choose guys that are you think are gonna score highest, and even if they do, sometimes the other team just scores more than you, even if it's highly improbable they do. And I want to make sure I carry that into next year at least. I'm going to try to place my effort and my time into things that are more fruitful, we'll say, hobbies that benefit me and provide more joy. I only watched like 4 full games of football this year, and I moved back. And I was mostly just trying to get quality time with my dad. So, I don't know. I still think maybe we should try to do a Super Bowl party like we've done in the past. Just get everyone over for some chips and drinks and watch the Super Bowl. But we've been throwing around some ideas for next year's format. I don't know if you have any thoughts about all that.
Yeah, just very similar experiences as we've talked about. Um, I have, I distinctly remember the one after the 1 year that I won it with, peak Alvin Kamara and Devontae Adams having great seasons, and somehow having them on my same team, winning the league that year because Kamara scored 6 touchdowns on Christmas
Oh
when I
yeah.
was in the
Oh
playoffs.
yeah.
And since that year, I have been chasing that feeling. Uh, and after that season, starting the next one, I remember Brian Kirchhoff said, fantasy football is just luck. And I did not believe him at the time because my first 2 or 3 seasons as a fantasy football newbie and relative success. And I thought, no, I've got it figured out. And the 2 or 3 seasons since then have proven that the more I know, uh, the less I know, and I have done significantly worse each season since uh, since having that success and listening to more podcasts, the same ones you've been listening to. So I have also discovered that as much as it's fun to tune into the occasional game, and I enjoy doing these podcasts and have fun doing this league with the group. Um, the fantasy lands that are much more rewarding to me are involve hobbits and dwarves. So a little more time with in Middle Earth and watching Lord of the Rings than watching the best laid plans of myself fail.
Definitely, man. I wonder if there's other fantasy sports involving more funny random things that we all actually like would pay more attention to, or if there's other games that we can just play throughout the year as a group to stay connected, because that's all this really
Yep.
is. I don't. There was a year when I first started when I played a few leagues with people I didn't know to play fantasy, but I play to play with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
It is fun to like sit with Heidi and look at our teams where I've been trying super hard all year and she hasn't touched it and is openly like, I haven't touched this, and she's beating me, and
Yep.
we're like smack talking each other. That's fun. I wonder if we can do more things like that with our group.
Agreed. I think we should. And I think a goal for next year with whatever fantasy things we are doing is to up the smack talk. I don't think there
Mm-hmm.
was um, enough threats to each other's fantasy honor this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I want to apologize to the group. I made a decision to try this format without really consulting everybody. I made an assumption based on what my perception of fantasy football was. I thought, oh, I try so hard. I'm paying attention every week, but other people don't seem to be doing that. So let's do a format where nobody has to touch their team all year, and that'll make it more fair. And I think it just took away the incentive for people to even look at it. So I apologize for that. And to be transparent, my thought for next year is still to do the fantasy league because, hey, that'll be the 5th year. That'll be a fun tradition. And the draft is always so fun. I've been throwing around the idea of doing a heroes league where you have your small team of Avengers that you compete with. So the draft would only be like 3 or 4 players long. Your team is like 3 players. And whenever you want to switch out a player, there's always going to be really good players on the bench that you can choose from. So people that don't pay attention, you're probably going to be great. People who do pay attention, actually, you don't have to look that deep to make good decisions. Great players are going to be there available for you, and it'll obviously be luck, because I expect all 10 teams or however many teams are going to be really good.
Agreed. So yeah, let us know what your thoughts on that are when we maybe next week, or even just when we approach draft season next year. I for one am for it as well. I think it could be a fun way.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to lose to the other team having Tyler Higbee have a good week. So
but the truth is that I will put out a question, and I'll ask you all what you want to do. And because I don't want to make that same mistake twice. I don't want to assume I know what would be best for the group. If you all just want regular fantasy football the way we had it in years past, I won't do anything special. I'll listen to the group because I really just want people to participate. That's what I want more than anything. So whatever the group wants.
We promise that democracy is not fantasy.
Yep. Okay. Any closing thoughts?
Well played, everyone. Thanks for another year, and have fun naming Kaylee's team, Haley.
Oh yeah, can't wait to see what comes of that. All right, till next year, everybody. Here's the outro. My girlfriend's the best.
No, mine.
Which implies that mine's better than yours, so...
We'll duel afterwards.